Thank you for joining me for this brief video. If you've been in business for even a short time, you know problems don't show up when you expect them. They show up before when everything looks fine. That's what makes them so dangerous. By the time a reporting deadline, in this case a financial reporting, an external reporting deadline, is on the horizon, your company, may be at risk. Management is lacking the information and lacking the ability to do anything about it. It's lacking the information it needs, or worse, a basic compliance deadline goes unmet. The real problem started weeks earlier or even months earlier and probably has been around festering for a while. If you're feeling good about your next quarterly close right now, I want you to stay with me. And if you're not feeling good about your next quarterly close right now, I also want you to stay with me, because either feeling is exactly the moment when many companies stop looking. And today, the tools and the requirements are advancing at such an epic pace. The question I have for you is, are you still navigating an aircraft carrier when the drones are winning the war? My name is Kenneth Brimmer. I've been in financial leadership, financial management for over 40 years. As a CPA, a CFO, a COO, a CEO of a public company, a board member, a business owner, and a member of several audit committees. I've navigated complex structures, PCAOB audits, multi-entity consolidations, special committee work, and CEO reporting for companies ranging from pre-revenue startups to New York Stock Exchange listed corporations. I became the COO at Rainforest Cafe during its growth phase. We grew from inception to over 6,000 employees. I was the treasurer at the beginning, responsible for multiple stock offerings, which total over $200 million in equity capital. I was responsible for overseeing the building of the financial infrastructure to support growth and growth in real rapid time. I was also a part of Grand Casinos, a pioneer in Indian gaming. I served as acting controller for the first tribal casino in Minnesota and secured the second tribal casino in Minnesota, and secured early gaming sites in both the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and in northern Mississippi. And while doing that, I was also advancing opportunities throughout the United States. The result was a public company, Grand Casinos, and eventually a company that became New York Stock Exchange listed. I've seen it what it looks like when everything appears to be fine, and I've seen it what looks like when everything seemed fine right up until it wasn't. I want to tell you about a pattern I've seen repeated more times than I can count. A team is headed towards an important financial closing cycle. Management is eager to know the results and to plan cash flow for the next quarter. The team has done it before. This quarter however, the quarter has some new wrinkles. Things may seem to be on track, but they aren't. A few days before closing, something shifts. A reconciliation doesn't close cleanly. An auditor comes back with a comment that requires significantly more documentation than expected. A disclosure item in the footnotes turns out to be more complicated than it looked at first glance. Now the team is in reaction mode. Late nights, scrambling, the CEO is asking questions, and nobody brings forth a clean answer. The auditors are waiting. You file or deliver investor-driven reports barely on time, and everyone exhales. But what nobody says out loud, the problem didn't start 10 days before the deadline. It started 6 weeks, 2 months earlier, when a reconciliation was deferred, or 4 weeks earlier when a disclosure question got set aside because it didn't seem urgent yet, or 3 weeks earlier when the sequencing of close fell slightly out of order and nobody flagged it. But each time the deadlines showed up. They had been building for over a month. The truth most people miss is this: missing reports and late-breaking surprises are almost never caused by what happened in the last 2 weeks. They are caused by what happened 6 weeks before that. They're caused by a lack of visibility, poor sequencing, unclear ownership of the process. These are the culprits, and they're almost always barely visible, and they're invisible when things feel fine. Now here's what's changing. The accounting world is being revolutionized by new tools. Board decks that used to take days to prepare with multiple reviews can be generated in minutes. AI is giving finance teams real early warning capability, the ability to surface a sequencing gap or a reconciliation variance weeks before it becomes a problem. That's the type of work that used to require a senior management person reviewing everything manually for hours, if not days. AI can now do a version of that virtually continuously. But only if you have the process and infrastructure will AI work. You need to be able to plug modern tools. Just because you can plug modern tools, it does not create structure. It illuminates the structure you have, which means if your process is clean, AI becomes a powerful early warning system that assures compliance. And if it isn't, AI just shows you the mess faster. What we offer is a fresh look at the outcomes, and we provide guidance in building a foundation that supports the need. We assess your internal process, map where sequencing breaks down, and identify where tasks have clear ownership and where they don't. We position your team to take full advantage of the tools becoming available and to avoid being caught off guard when auditors start using those same tools to review your filings. If things feel just okay right now, and perhaps just a bit off, that's exactly when you should look. Not because something is wrong, but because that's when it needs fixing and when it's the easiest, and when building for what's coming next is the most effective. Watch the next video in the series or book a time with me at brimmercompany.com. We'll look at your process together and tell you honestly what we see. We'll work with you. I'm Kenneth Brimmer. See you in the next video.